Watch, Elon Musk responds to MSNBC host's neo-Nazi meltdown. On Monday, MSNBC's Mehdi Hasan had a meltdown over Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter. According to Hasan, Musk is a petulant but not so bright billionaire that handed Twitter to the far right that consists of a white supremacist neo-Nazi faction of the Republican Party. Musk responded to a clip of the meltdown and slammed the network for covering up the Hunter Biden laptop story and providing cover for Harvey Weinstein's rape allegations. The left fears Elon Musk because he's fair across the board. He wants everyone to have free speech, regardless of what political party they're associated with or who they voted for. He's not afraid of calling things like he sees them, and the mainstream media is often on the receiving end of his critiques. Keep crying. MSNBC. Breaking. Here's what the Roe v. Wade leak means for America. Yesterday, Politico reported a leaked Supreme Court opinion that indicated the court will soon vote to overturn Roe v. Wade. This is the first time in the history of the court that a draft has leaked to the press, and it's caused an unprecedented amount of drama. The vote broke down as you'd expect. Alito, Thomas, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett vote to overturn the federal protection for abortion. Kagan, Sotomayor, and Breyer voted against. Roberts, who is actually Chief Justice, has not made up his mind yet. This is a huge victory for the pro-life movement, and this decision would never have happened if it wasn't for President Trump's 3 conservative Supreme Court appointments. The majority opinion was written by Justice Alito, and it concludes, "We end this opinion where we began. Abortion presents a profound moral question. The Constitution does not prohibit the citizens of each state from regulating or prohibiting abortion. Roe and Casey arrogated that authority. We now overrule those decisions and return that authority to the people and their elected representatives." The judgment of the Fifth Circuit is reversed, and the case is remanded for further proceedings consistent with this opinion. It is so ordered. The opinion is clear to say it is not outlawing abortion or making it illegal. It simply returns the authority to make abortion law back to the states where it belongs. This simple ruling is enough to drive the left absolutely insane. Even the leak itself indicates fear and instability within the circle of liberal elites. It seems they intended to cause commotion by reporting the opinion early to put pressure on the justices to change their vote. Right now, 2 likely scenarios regarding the origin of the leak are circulating. One is that a clerk for one of the liberal justices leaked it because only the justices and a small group of their clerks have access to these documents. Another is that someone in the intelligence community had access to the justices' emails and leaked it. This is also likely because Alexander Ward, the reporter who broke the story in the Politico, is actually a national security reporter and does not usually cover judicial issues. This suggests that Ward got the information from one of his usual sources in the intelligence community. The leak has been confirmed by Justice Roberts, who has pledged to investigate who leaked it and why. Assuming Roe is overturned officially, we can expect total chaos from the Democrats, who are already pledging to end the filibuster, pack the court, and pass federal abortion legislation. What? Joe Biden argues against abortion while his cabinet argues in favor of Roe. Members of the Biden administration gave talks and answered questions from the media about the recent Roe leak. According to Attorney General Xavier Becerra, the Department of Justice will double down on fighting for abortion rights. At a gala for the Pro-Abortion Political Action Committee Emily's List, Vice President Kamala Harris slammed pro-lifer Republicans for tell a woman what she can do and cannot do with her own body. And while other members of Biden's cabinet were on the same page, the president made the case against abortion. But the most interesting thing of all, Becerra, Harris, and Biden are all lawyers, and they're all running with the talking point that overturning Roe would immediately ban abortion across the country. We all know that's false. Overturning Roe means states would determine what abortion access, if any, residents will have and the restrictions surrounding it. It means the federal government could no longer force conservative red states to allow abortion if it's something their residents disagree with.
Number 2, what was the second one? Look.
The second one was on abortion.
As I said when when this hit, as I was getting on the plane to go down to Alabama, this is about a lot more than abortion. I hadn't read the whole opinion at that time. But this reminds me of the debate with Robert Bork. Bork believed the only reason you had any inherent rights was because the government gave them to you. If you go back and look at the opening comments of the Bork-Biden when I was questioning him as chairman, I said, I believe I have the rights that I have, not because the government gave them to me, which you believe, but because I'm just a child of God. I exist. I delegated by joining this union here to delegate some obligation, some rights I have to the governments for social good.
But let's talk about what a world without Roe looks like. Women in almost half the country could see their access to abortion severely limited. In 13 of those states, women would lose access to abortion immediately and outright. Those Republican leaders who are trying to weaponize the use of the law against women, well, we say, how dare they? How dare they tell a woman what she can do and cannot do with her own body? How dare they? How dare they try to stop her from determining her own future? How dare they try to deny women their rights and their freedoms?
America is not a nation prone to regression, and the Department of Health and Human Services is not in the business of stripping Americans of access and protections to care. So at HHS, we will double down on our authorities to protect every American's right and access to reproductive health care, including abortion.
Dear Men, Sen. Gillibrand goes on an unhinged rant about Roe. On Monday, Senator Kristen Gillibrand went on an unhinged rant about how the Supreme Court's looming decision to overturn Roe would harm American women. According to the senator, abortion constitutes bodily autonomy for women. Gillibrand went on to slam men, encouraging them to imagine not having authority over body for 10 months. She made the argument that men in America couldn't imagine not having control of bodily functions. What happens to, and what life would be like for 10 months. Of course, the Democratic senator slammed the Supreme Court for not going with the will of the people. It's almost as though Gillibrand forgets that the Supreme Court is the judicial branch, not the legislative branch. The job of the Supreme Court is to interpret the Constitution to determine what laws are constitutional and unconstitutional. Not surprisingly, Gillibrand went after the Supreme Court justices for lying about respecting established precedent. It's almost as though she's completely clueless about the number of previous decisions that later courts overturned. Sen. Gillibrand, you may believe that having an option to kill an unborn child is a matter of life and death for American women, but abortion truly is life or death for babies in the womb. At what point do you consider a baby more than a clump of cells? At what point is this no longer about the mother's choice but about the baby's life? Be angry all you want, but the majority of Americans are pro-life. And overturning Roe is the first step in aligning this policy debate with the views of the American people.
This is an issue that is defining for this country today. And if the American people don't stand up for equality for every American at this moment in time, we will be undermining a right to privacy in more than this context. Women deserve freedom and bodily autonomy. We deserve to be able to make decisions about when we are having children, under what circumstances we are having children, how many children we are having, and at what time we are having children. I would like to speak to America's men for 1 minute. Imagine you do not have authority over your own body for 10 months. Imagine if that decision-making would not be taken away, even if you would die in childbirth, even if you couldn't decide who you were having children with, even if you couldn't decide when you were having that child. I don't think a man in America could actually imagine not having control of his body, his bodily functions, what happens to him, and what life would be like for 10 months. It is an outrage that we have 5 justices on the Supreme Court who lied in their confirmation hearings in order to be confirmed.